It'll be even louder at the end.
I would like to tell you the story of my grandma, Avie Kathleen Clune, and I'm sure you will agree that she's a beautiful, brave and courageous woman. She was born on the 21st of November in 1936, when George VI was on the throne. She was born in Manjimup in Western Australia, the child of Charles and Myrtle, and the older sister of Marie. Her mother and auntie spoilt the two girls, and their father Charlie loved them very much and was greatly proud of them. When she was 6 years old, Grandma and Auntie Marie, aged 5, came to St Joseph's College in Fremantle to become boarders. Grandma's best friend at school, Margaret Reeve, tells me that she did well at school and was very popular. The two girls played tennis together as doubles partners and loved going off to play tournaments at various places. On one occasion, they won a state tournament, and even though there were only 10, they fancied themselves for Wimbledon. Being very brave, Grandma took a long journey to England on the Canberra in 1965. During the 6 weeks that she travelled, she met Jill and they became BFFs. Arriving in London, Grandma and Jill found a job together working in Honeywell in West London. One night at a party, Grandma met Neil Clune and soon they were talking like lifelong friends. Jill met Granddad's friend Tony. Quote, when I first met Avie, I was struck, as was everyone, with how beautiful she was. She was very much like Jackie Kennedy, wife of the former US president, who is the acknowledged beauty of the day. In 1966, Grandma went travelling through Europe with Jill. Never has someone with so little language skills travelled through so many countries.
Switzerland,
France,
Austria,
Spain,
and Germany.
Don't forget Greece. I'm sure that Grandma will tell the stories. As she travelled, all of Grandad's letters arrived at the various addresses, but Tony's to Jill never did. Of course, Grandma married Grandad in 1968. And Jill married Tony, but they went back to Australia. Cousin Rebecca remembers being 5 and being picked up from the nursery by Grandma. She told all her friends that the proper way to walk was by putting one foot in front of the other like this. Because that's how my Auntie Avie walks. Rebecca, as a teenager, also remembers Grandma teaching her to care for her skin and exercises for the jawline. What were they, Grandma?
It's true. Come on, Grandma, we need the exercises.
Cool tea.
Again, please.
Cool tea.
When Auntie Marie had given birth to Paul, their first child, he was a very unhappy baby. One stressful moment, Grandma came into the room to apply some face cream to reduce the chance of wrinkles. She says, just what I needed. 1969 brought the birth of Joseph the Handsome, a talented but naughty child.
This has been edited.
I think there was more than handsome on that.
Eating peas and ice cream, picking newly growing daffodils, cutting Venetian vines, or making train tracks in salt. Grandma did 3 jobs to save up for Australia. So what were they, Grandma?
Well, I used to visit elderly ladies in the morning, and I used to collect the pools, and I can remember one person saying to me, you could have walked to Australia by now. And I also worked for an estate agent in Bushy. Yes.
Then finally in 1974 the family went to Australia, where Grandad and Daddy met Grandma's family for the first time. One time, Grandad and Grandma borrowed my great-granddad's car to travel on Christmas Eve to Manjimup. It was really hot. A stone shattered the window screen and they had to pull over and knock out the glass. They went to the windscreen repairers to replace it, and on the way there, they went to the garage without a windscreen. Suddenly, what Grandma and Daddy describe as a massive bug flew into the car, leading to screams of terror from the back. Daddy says it was the size of a B-52 bomber. After that, in 1975, the Clunes moved to Dorridge, a new chapter in Grandma's life. Dookie was a dog whose stories still last on today as a favourite of Catherine and mine. He was a West Highland White Terrier who came to the Clunes in 1976 until 1993 and lived for 17 years. One time, Dookie chased a cat right through the open front door to the hysteria of an old lady in bed.
That's true. That's true. Cat lived across the road. That is true. Yes.
Chris and Philip, who are old friends from Bushy, helped Grandma when she had an operation. They came round and bought a cake. Chris was a great and very proud cook. Grandma still cringes as she remembers the screech that Chris let out when discovering Dookie on the table helping himself to the grand cake. Grandma got a secretarial qualification and began the trials and tribulations of working at Heatfridge, Michael J. Harding and other places. Grandma completed an Open University degree and then later trained to be a counsellor for life, which she still works for voluntarily. Another aspect of Grandma... Another aspect of Grandma's life is attending church in Dorridge. Daddy signed up for the parish's soup kitchen and then Grandma carried it on until it very recently came to an end. Throughout the years, Grandma has made many new friends, some at Dorridge Cricket Club, where Grandma is still watching home games and sometimes away games, many of which are here today. Catherine?
In 2000...
We've done that one.
We've done it.
Yeah, question.
In 2006, a horrible thing happened. One snotty little child was born. She played Grandma, forcing her to babysit and many other things.
I beg your pardon, that's me you're talking about.
Sorry.
Anyhow, I was born and 2 years later Catherine was born, so Grandma was introduced to playing with Barbies and dolls and we were introduced to Strictly Come Dancing and ballet. So that brings us to today, where we are sitting with Avie Kathleen Clune and her friends that each have their own individual story. We would like some toast.
No, I think you mean, can we have a toast to Grandma and 80 years of happiness?
Happy birthday.